I recently found myself in a situation that should not have happened and frankly, couldn't have imagined happening. I've decided to share this secret story on an internet forum, known for its empathetic reading of personal tales. My wife is the youngest of three daughters. To me, she's not only the most beautiful, but also the brightest among her sisters. Despite having a child, she works hard and sometimes even travels abroad for work. All her sisters are married. The eldest lives at the farthest end of our country, making family gatherings a rare occurrence. Last year, my father-in-law was suddenly diagnosed with cirrhosis and passed away. The main character of this story, the middle sister, lives near us. She has a fairly grown child and occasionally visits to adore and look after our baby, who is not yet a year old. Even though I rarely work late, there are times when I have to attend dinner meetings or prepare for conferences, and my wife comes home late. During such times, we rely on my sister-in-law to babysit. She loves the baby's smell and the formula smell and takes great care of our child. Her daughter also adores our baby, which makes us trust them even more. This time, for my mother-in-law's 70th birthday trip, we decided to go to Guam. Unfortunately, the eldest sister couldn't join us because her child was in the middle of exams. The middle sister's husband was too busy to come, so it ended up being just my mother-in-law, the middle sister and her daughter, and our little family. I was the only man in the group. Traveling by bus in Guam was exhausting. On the first day, the women decided to go shopping at the mall, leaving me at the hotel to take care of my daughter and my niece. As the only man, I gave the ladies some free time. My daughter, who was flying for the first time, didn't cry and handled the flight well. She's quick on her feet, not even a year old, and already toddling around. She wandered the resort holding her cousin's hand, making it relatively easy to look after them. Even in Guam, my daughter ate her prepared baby food and formula without fuss, allowing us to enjoy our trip. During our free time, we enjoyed the resort's swimming pool, where everyone had a great time. My daughter wasn't afraid of the water, even though it was her first time swimming. My wife, who returned from shopping with her arms full of bags, tried on clothes she bought for herself for the first time since having our baby. Seeing her so excited and happy made me feel an unexpected rush of emotion. We quietly enjoyed our time together while making sure not to wake up our sleeping child. I work for a major corporation, receiving a hefty bonus every year, and although we have a small mortgage, my wife and I own a house together. With a beautiful wife and a lovely daughter, I consider myself the happiest man alive these days. However, on the second day of our trip, things took a strange turn. My wife became unusually irritable, leading to an unexpected argument. She found out I had been talking about her behind her back to her sister. Having a marital spat during a vacation certainly didn't help the mood. Pretending to be magnanimous, my wife said she'd go to bed early with our child because she couldn't stand the sight of me. As I mentioned before, my wife is the prettiest among her three sisters, though her sister is quite attractive as well. All three daughters of my mother-in-law are beautiful. My wife gained 20 during her pregnancy and is still concerned about the weight, whereas her sister is the tallest and slimmest among them, even though she eats the most at meals. My wife went to bed early, and her sister, not feeling sleepy, suggested we go out for a beer. Feeling down, I accepted her invitation, and we took a taxi to a nearby pub. It was convenient to easily obtain travel information through an app, even abroad. My mother-in-law was watching our niece, so my sister-in-law went all out with her makeup, looking very pretty. She has a darker skin tone, but a healthy and attractive face. We took a taxi to the bar, and she shared how happy she was to be on this trip, as she hadn't been out in the evenings for a while, due to raising a child, and had grown distant from her friends. Moreover, her husband doesn't drink, so she felt suffocated, drinking at home as he would give her disapproving looks. She was thrilled to be having a good time on this trip. My sister-in-law reassured me, saying, "Let's live through fights and disagreements. It's normal to argue during trips. Don't worry too much." We ended up drinking more than usual, and embarrassingly, I vomited. I was wearing thin cotton pants, which I had to dispose of, leaving me feeling quite embarrassed. My sister-in-law took out wet wipes from her bag to clean me up. Urging to return to our accommodation, we took a taxi, but my wife didn't answer the door, likely sleeping deeply. My sister-in-law was sleeping in her mother's room with her daughter, so I had no choice but to stay in my sister-in-law's room for a while. I took off my dirty clothes and washed them. After a refreshing shower, I planned to spend a short time in my sister-in-law's room before heading to my own room early in the morning. Continuing from the previous scenario, after the husband cleans up and returns from the bathroom, his sister-in-law smiles at him and comments in a low voice that his wife is lucky. He responds by revealing that since his wife became pregnant, they have not shared a room. His sister-in-law shares that she has also been sleeping in a separate room for years, and they spend the night together. She expresses envy towards her sister for having such a close relationship with him, mentioning it's her first time feeling this way. The husband reflects on his marriage, suggesting that not being close to a spouse who is attractive and kind might be akin to throwing away one's fortune. They complete their trip and keep in touch occasionally, with both understanding there are things left unsaid and undone between them. They decide not to pursue anything further, acknowledging the inappropriate nature of their situation, despite the occasional flutter of excitement. When his sister-in-law brings over homemade health foods, he chooses to accept only her kindness, recognizing the courage needed to stop before things go too far.